When we started our channel, it was with the intention of telling our own sailing story. We quickly realized that every sailor has their own story to tell. After crossing paths with sailing vessel Second Chance, we knew this was a story that needed to be told. This is the true story of a sailboat that attempted to outrun one of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded.
I'm out here on Fort Myers Beach. I just barely made it out in time. I think I got the drone out here before I got out here, but it looks like they got the boat off the beach. That's awesome. This is SV Second Chance, appropriately named. Looks like they pulled it off. It's a big day for these guys here.
So here's the story of that boat, Second Chances. So they came out of Key West to outrun Irma with 3 other boats. The other ones went up the Caloosahatchee, but he couldn't fit because of mast height. The engine stopped. At that point in time, they went from a 20 knot wind to a 70 knot wind like that. They dropped anchor about 600 yards outside the pass. They were the last rescue before the Coast Guard put their rigid on a trailer and got out of it. And then it floated here. It's been sitting since we all watched it come in. So then Renee, my wife, went and looked on sailing forums and then found them. They called, and then the rest is history.
It was very entertaining. They tied to the top of the mast to try and wiggle it free. It was in probably the highest sandbar on the beach. And at low tide, I mean, it was completely dry. I mean, it was not submerged and just lying on its side. Actually, it didn't take as much time as I thought it might have. Two big old outboards that were going back and forth, really gunning it. Getting the juice out of the HPs, making those horsies run, and finally got it loose. Hopefully there's not too much damage, and these guys are going to have a nice afternoon.
Oh yeah, and you guys got a hell of a show on your
That's right.
vacation.
That's right.
Ohio boys right here, man. I got the drone up a couple blocks away, and I got it in place, and then I booked it down the beach to try and see it, but by the time I got there, it was already pulled off, so I'm going to go look at this footage, and I know the owners of that boat really want to see that. So I'm gonna go cut this together, and it should be pretty awesome.
There's sailing vessel Second Chance. Yeah, we got a big crowd on the beach. They're videotaping. Everybody wants to help. Wish we had another boat. We've got her keeled over, and we've got this big boat right here. And we got lines from the mast. We got a line from the bow. And we're gonna pull her out.
I was going to North Carolina to look at another boat.
We went and saw the Gulf Star first, and I fell in love, and that was the end of that story.
The second we got on the boat, I saw the look on her face and knew that this was going to be the boat. We sailed it all the way down around Key West and back up to St. Pete. We decided that instead of spending hurricane season in St. Pete, we'd spend hurricane season in Key West.
One of those things that we've been through so many hurricanes, we were kind of like shrugging our shoulders, like, yeah, we're not going to get affected. And then as the days progress, we're like, yeah, maybe we should think about getting out of here.
Here's the latest on Hurricane Irma. Still winds of 155 miles an hour, and this is moving due west. And very quickly, Cuba, or at least the northern coast of Cuba, will be interacting with this. We're really too late to be looking at any changes in the model. Now it is honestly just keeping our eyes on the satellite picture, the track. You know what it is, but if you haven't seen it, there it is, covering the entire state. Tropical storm force winds by Sunday, starting landfall Sunday morning. The impact on our area, if this line is correct, would be pretty extreme.
So we left with
Mercedes
and Todd.
Yeah. And we figured it would be safer in a group. So in case anything happened, there would be 2 other boats there that could lend us a hand.
And the plan was to go up the Okeechobee Waterway and hide in the Okeechobee Waterway.
But once we got down to Fort Myers to go into Okeechobee Waterway, we found out that we were too tall. Our mast was too tall. We couldn't make it under the bridge.
This is where we made our mistake. If we had gone into Fort Myers, into a marina, we probably could have stayed at the same marina that Nick and Kelly stayed at and been fine.
But we decided we were going to go to St. Pete because we've ridden out hurricanes there before and we knew the honey holes. So
Thought we had a week. We were a week ahead of the storm at the time, but we weren't. The previous owner had put a drain tube so he could drain the engine of oil easier than having to have a siphon pull it out. It had wore a hole in the bottom of the hose and we lost all of our oil. I got the engine shut down before we did damage to the engine, but we had no propulsion. So we were only under sail. We had no oil to put back in the engine and it wouldn't stay there if we did. So all we could do was sail. And we had 20 knots out of the east.
it was a beautiful day.
And I had a rail in the water. I was doing 9.5 knots heading towards St. Pete. We only had 70 miles to go. It wasn't like it was going to be, more than a 10-hour sail. It was just going to be right up the road. And I look up and I see what looks like
An afternoon storm.
an afternoon thunderstorm coming off the coast. And we reefed down for the afternoon thunderstorm because they can be bad. Turns out it was Hurricane Irma. We went from 20 knots of wind to 100 knots on my 1-point wind speed in a matter of seconds. And it shredded our sails instantly.
Or at least the jib. It
The
shredded
jib.
the jib.
We were actually 6 miles out of the Boca Grande outer mark, which is 12 miles offshore. I'm not scared yet. Okay? We have no propulsion. Our main engine doesn't work. Our sails don't work. But I'm still not done. I'm a master mechanic. I'm also an aircraft mechanic. Problems are just things to be solved in my mind. So I grabbed my dinghy, which I was pulling behind us. It's a 10-foot Caribbean with a 15-horse Mercury on it. My sailboat's 44 foot long, and it weighs 32,000 pounds. And I hip-tied it, which means the bow was tied to the midship cleat, and the stern of the dinghy was tied to the stern cleat. Now we're in 15-foot seas and only 30 feet of water. It was more like a washing machine, okay? Waves were coming from all different directions. So I jumped down in the dinghy, start the 15-horse motor, run it up to about half throttle, 3/4 throttle, jump back into the sailboat in second chance, and I'm steering with him. And I made it to the outer mark of Boca Grande Pass.
But with the waves and the wind,
And the current, we had an outgoing tide, major wind coming off the coast. I couldn't turn to get into pass. I tried 3 or 4 times and it kept blowing me back out. I thought, man, we're screwed. We need to call towboat. They laughed at me. Apparently they don't go out in hurricanes. They're smarter than I am.
so they called the Coast Guard first.
And I really didn't want to leave my home. It's everything I owned. It's the only opportunity we had. And honestly, I thought it was gone. I thought there's nothing left. The boat's gone. I had 2 anchors out. I had a 65-pound Delta and a 65-pound CQR out.
When you stepped off your boat, what were you feeling? What were you thinking?
I was never going to see it again.
It's our home, and it's gone.
Thought it was gone.
Yeah, thought it was going to sink. We were never going to see it ever again.
The dream was over.
Lost our home, lost all of our belongings, but at least we were still alive.
The main thing is my wife was alive. My cat, Khaleesi, was alive. And when you're in charge of a boat or a captain of a boat, your crew is your crew, and the people on your boat and the lives on your boat are the most important thing.
You were the last.
We were the last ones rescued.
Yeah, before the storm.
Mm-hmm. After the storm, I just happened to check my phone one day, and I had an instant message on Facebook. And it said, it was a picture. Is this your boat? And I said, hell yes, it's my boat. Where the hell is it? The boat went back to Fort Myers Beach. It was way up on the beach. Megan and Renee lived down there, and they had this fairly well damaged monstrosity sitting on their beach. They were fantastic people, and they gave us tons of help, and we loved them very much.
And they gave us a place to stay when we were there.
Absolutely, and
they gave us care packages.
Shoot, these shorts
everything
I got because of them. They literally realized we'd lost everything, and we're fantastic people. Well, while we were living in Key West has some really bad holding, and you drag all the time there. So we're constantly pulling boats off of beaches down there with our dinghies, and my boat's a little big to be pulling off with a dinghy, but I knew how to do it. We had to wait for mean high tide of the month to get enough water underneath it for it to actually have water under it while it was laying on its side.
So with their friend's boat, we rented a boat, so we had 2 boats, one to pull and one to keel it over.
We've got her keeled over, and we've got this big boat right here. And we got lines from the mast, we got a line from the bow, and we're gonna pull her out. Ready? See? He's not pulling yet. Have it cranked all the way over, Lee. This is scary. Very scary. We got her unstuck! She is hauling ass! We're going! Where's she going? Oh my freaking God! Keep her keeled. She wants to go straight. But we stopped. Oh, good Lord. We got her floating. Oh, she's floating. She's beautiful.
She's floating!
Hey, Lee, give me a thumbs up, Captain.
You had a second chance.
We had a second chance.
I was happy that we got her off the beach, but when I went inside of her, I was completely devastated. Everything that we owned was still on the boat, but it was all destroyed. It was all covered in oil and been sitting in salt water, and everything was, we had to throw it all away. It took me 3 weeks, but I got it all cleaned out.
I'll fix the boat. To do the work to fix the boat, that's not a problem. Getting the boat here where I can work on it, and the money to purchase the stuff that needs to be done, well, we'll figure that out as we go. The story is just beginning. We are going to video the entire refit of the boat, and hopefully next year, maybe the year after, we can be out there and catch up with Nick and Kelly and have a cocktail on the beach, and I absolutely will buy you all dinner. Thank you guys.